Hello and welcome to The Extra Mile. I'm Linda Boudreaux. Our guests today are Joy Fragola. Joy is the Professional Outreach Director for Southern Eye Bank, and also Pam Cart. Pam is a mother of a donor, and she's also had lots of personal experience with the eye bank and with organ donations. So we're going to talk to both of them today about the organ and cornea donation kind of processes that we have in place here in Louisiana. So welcome, both of you.
Thank you.
So glad you came. Joy, let me start with you because you are with the Southern Eye Bank, and I know we've had you all on several times in the past, but to remind people, because they might not know, what is the Southern Eye Bank? What do you do?
Southern Eye Bank is a nonprofit organization based in Metairie, Louisiana. We service 26 parishes in South Louisiana, and we recover corneas and whole eye tissue for transplantation and research in our quest for restoring and enhancing sight for people.
So why is that important?
Well, imagine going through life with eyeglasses on, sunglasses that are smeared and dark. That's what corneal blindness is like. And so we can actually, through our people who donate and our donors, we can actually give sight to 2 people.
So the reality is that the blindness or the vision impairment that people with corneal problems have can be corrected, and they can have normal vision if we have donors. Is that true?
Absolutely. Cornea transplants are about 98% successful. And if you have a corneal disease or a corneal injury, then if transplantation is the answer for you, you can actually see sometimes better than you originally saw.
So there's a good reason to do that.
Absolutely. It changes lives, and not only does it enhance the life of the recipients, it also enhances the family and the donor families' lives.
And I guess, Pam, welcome. That's
Thank
part
you.
of what brings you to us today. Huh?
Yes, ma'am. I am a donor mom, but I also worked for Southern Eye Bank and recovered corneas. And also now I work for LOPA, which is Louisiana Organ Procurement Agency, and we recover organs and tissue for transplant.
So let's kind of talk about this, because I think some people think that it's a little, people might get a little uncomfortable, talking about organ donations, because it really means that we've lost someone that we love, and we have to make, I think, really huge decisions at a very emotional time sometimes, and those decisions that we make really do impact the lives of others. That's true.
That's true. That's very true. Most of the time when you're making those decisions, you don't realize who you're helping or what you're doing. You just know that it's the right thing, or your family has talked about it. And that was something my family had done. We had had that conversation about if something happened to each one of us, and even my children, what would they want to do? And of course, all of our answers was yes, because we had looked into it, made sure it was an informed decision we were making, but we were making that as a family. So even though we sign up on our driver's license, we need to have that conversation with our family. There's so many decisions at the time of death that you don't realize. That's one decision you won't have to make because you know what your loved one wanted. And that's the easiest decision you'll make that day.
Yeah, I think you're right. So let's talk about your experience, because you've been there.
I have several experiences with donation. One is started 17 years ago, February 10th, with my son Ryan Scott Cart here, and then his friend, best friend Travis Smith. They're just little farm boys, crawfishing and riding horses, and they were on an ATV four-wheeler. And
they were on it together?
They were together, yes. Ryan was on the back, and they were going to go ride horses on a country road, and didn't stop at a stop sign crossing the highway, or stopped but didn't see the vehicle coming. And both boys were killed. Ryan died at the scene, which made him available for tissue donation, which would be eye for corneas and whole eye, and heart for valve at that age. They were both 13 years old, and February 10th, 1997.
Wow.
And then Travis died later at the hospital from brain death, where the injury to the brain caused the swelling and the blood flow to stop. And but the ventilator continues to keep the heart beating to allow organ donation. So 6 lives were saved that day, and 4 people got sight. And then
Before we get into that, I kind of want to stop and talk for just a minute about this. So had you and your family had talked about organ donors?
we did.
Had Travis's family also talked about that? Do you know?
Talking to Debbie, I think it was something they may have thought about but didn't really have a conversation. I did have the nurse that knew both of the families from Lafayette General who called me when Debbie and Carlos was approached about organ donation. And she said, Pam, because you're giving, and the person that I spoke to at LOPA, I guess, had also spoke to them and shared what we were doing. And so they wanted to honor Travis in that way also. So that was a conversation that they had, but I can't say for true if it was that day or if they had it prior to.
It's not a conversation we typically have prior to, and the reason I ask that is because your family did, and you were in a position then to influence or have an effect on another family that made a decision, and I love the word that you used, that honored their son in a very unique way.
That's right, and their legacy lives on.
Yeah.
I do know 16 years later, I was able to meet one of the cornea recipients for Ryan. Her name was Tamara Lundy.
And we're going to get a picture of her with you and
Yeah,
your
me
husband.
and my husband, Victor. And we met last year in March for Eye Donor Awareness Month at the zoo in New Orleans that Southern Eye Bank puts on for families, donor families who have all experienced this. And you can kind of get together and support one another, tell each other stories. You know, that's a very good healing day. It's sure there's some of us that cry, but it's a lot of times it's tears of joy that you're able to share that story one more time and talk about your loved one. And so we met and we've built a relationship. One thing she told me, she was blind at birth. And she's had several cornea transplants, but since then she's been able to receive 2 degrees, one in social working and one in criminal justice.
Wow.
And she has 2 children that she enjoys, and when she wakes up she can see their smiles, or when she punishes them, I'm sure she sees their Boudreaux face. But it's been a wonderful experience to meet and know that today Ryan's legacy lives on.
Yeah. Now, you weren't real eager to meet her for a while, huh?
I was very nervous, you know. You always want to, and my daughter, Leah, actually, Mama, I want to meet, and oh, well, you know, you just don't know how to coordinate that. And even though I worked for the eye bank, I knew you had to write a letter first, and then they send the letter on to the recipient. And so when we decided to do that about 7 years later, Katrina happened. So they lost all contact and that. So after Katrina, they gathered all the records and things again, and I approached Joy, and I said, I really need to do this. And so Joy took the reins, and I mean, she really made it happen. And
You found her, huh, Joy?
we found her.
It was not all that hard, actually. It was pretty easy, and it was a real gift to me as well, and to the others that work at the eye bank, to actually see a donor family and a recipient meeting. I mean, Pam says there are a few tears. Well, you know, we still have a few tears. It's really something amazing to see. We also invite other recipients, even if they're not going to be able to meet their donor family. We invite recipients so that donor families have an opportunity to talk to someone who has been a recipient, who has had the gift of sight, so they can see what an impact it has. Because sometimes people just don't know what to say. and they don't ever write a thank you, and they're afraid to contact the families. They're afraid to respond because they know that that family lost someone they loved.
Yeah.
And you know, it's a very difficult thing sometimes for them. The celebration, especially in March during National Eye Donor Awareness Month, is an opportunity to see both sides of the story. And it really inspires all of us.
So what is this big celebration?
Every year, but this is like the 6th year that we've done this, we invite donor families from the previous year, and we have a picnic at the Audubon Zoo in New Orleans. Entrance for them, for the food, for the fun jumps for the kids, for face painting. We do a butterfly release, and entrance to the zoo is all taken care of by the Eye Bank. And they can invite as many people, up to 5, I believe, and then after that they get a very discounted rate, but it's a celebration.
And you're celebrating what?
We're celebrating the legacy that these people have left. You know, we're celebrating the fact that some people can see, and we're focusing on the positives that can happen even when you've lost someone. You know, I speak from personal experience too. My brother, who we were very close to, was a donor 2 years ago, and he died in Houston, and his corneas actually went to Egypt.
Wow.
And I know I've said this before, but the woman at the Eye Bank in Houston was apologetic because she knew we would never hear from the recipients. And so when I go to the picnic and I see the recipients, or I talk to people who have had a cornea transplant, it's like knowing what my brother was able to do when he couldn't do anything else.
It's just kind of like
Pretty
a final
awesome.
gift, huh?
Absolutely, it is absolutely a final gift.
And so now that you've met, Tamara, do you feel any differently about this experience? Is it richer?
Oh, it's enriched. It's enriched the experience, you know, getting to just meet her, and before meeting others through the LOPA picnics and the Eye Bank picnics, of getting together with donor families and on a daily basis. You know, this is what we do at our profession. But being really part of that, like I said, it's just the healing. And it continues because every breath you take, you miss your child.
Yeah.
Or your loved one, your husband, your wife, your spouse, your grandparent. But being able to embrace that journey and to do it with someone that has been grateful for that gift is an experience that is a great healing. And with my family, we've had several of these experiences. My nephew was killed 9 months after Ryan in an automobile accident, and his family said yes to donation. Then my daughter-in-law's sister and father died a cardiac death. Again, it goes back to cardiac deaths. You can be a tissue donor and help up to 70 people and give sight to 2. An organ donation, it is a brain death, and that's an injury that occurs to the brain, and then life ends. But the ventilator continues to circulate the blood in order to recover the organs for transplantation. And then, both of her father and her sister were tissue and eye donors. And then also my sister-in-law's sister was an organ and eye donor, Teresa. And then my father-in-law last year was an eye donor. Then on the other side, my brother is a pancreas kidney recipient. So he would not be able to coach and teach had it not been for a family to step out of their grief to say yes to organ donation. And we're thankful for that daily.
So it works both ways.
Works both ways.
Now, obviously, I'm thinking in your family and in your extended family, there has been a lot of talk about organ donation. Do you think the average American family is having this chat?
Probably not. We do educate in the community, both Eye Bank and LOPA. We go to schools, churches, in the grocery line, at the gas station.
The elevator.
I'm talking. Because, again, why my family continued in this journey is because of the positive effects that donation has had, and seeing recipients, knowing recipients, meeting these families.
Being one of those families.
Being one of those families has definitely, you educate, and today's world, you know, with media, social media, it's very easy to get the message out. One thing at Thanksgiving we always try and do is say, give thanks, give life, and have that 2-minute conversation at the dinner table. Because you may be that person that we ask, and they, you know, was your loved one interested? Yes, we had that conversation. So like I said, it's the easiest decision you'll make that day, because all the other decisions are going to be very, very hard.
One of the things I like to remember is that we had a mom call us. Her 21-year-old son died, and she called my office about 8 months ago or so, crying. And when I got on the phone, I was a little concerned because, you know, I personally don't often get the calls. And she told me that her son had a heart on his license. And so he was an organ and tissue donor, and she didn't believe in it. And when he died at 21 through a car accident, she decided that it was his last wish. So she would follow through, even though she didn't believe. And that day, she had gotten a letter from the eye bank stating that his corneas had been transplanted, and it was the best day she had had so far.
That's right. It's the light in their darkness.
Makes a
That
difference.
little bit of light helps you focus during that darkness and those times. In fact, I had a call from a family today that knows me personally and asking their loved one needs a liver. She's status 1. And 18 people, and that means that 48 hours is about all you have left. And 18 people die every day. And it's just so shocking, because what do you say to them to comfort them? To say we're working, you know, our best. My prayer is that the family that's going to face this tragedy, that will provide an organ, will make a decision for yes. So later, like I said, at that time, you're not thinking of everything you're doing or who's being affected, and that possibly 9 lives will be saved today. And 70 people helped through tissue, and 2 people get sight. So it's an impact.
When there's a death, is the family always asked if they would like to donate organs? Is that a routine part of the procedures when someone has died?
We're governed by the federal government agencies, Medicare and that, and those who are suitable for transplantation, we follow that person, and all deaths that occur at a hospital are called in to the organ procurement agency, and we share that information with the eye bank for those that are suitable for cornea and whole eye donation. And when that death is called in to us by the hospital, then at that point we go and view the charts, talk with the physicians, make a plan on when brain death is going to be declared, or upon cardiac death, we make a plan on if they're suitable at that time in the initial call. And then once we talk to the family, we do a medical social history with every family. It's genetic. It is, everyone's asked the same questions. So it's about 70 questions. So it's in-depth information. And we take that information and determine who is suitable for transplantation, because we will not recover if it cannot be transplanted. So,
and that was really where I was going with that question, because not everyone is suitable.
Not
so does everyone
everyone.
have to go through that process if they may not be suitable?
right, we would not approach the family
Okay.
if they're suitable. Now, someone else, are really with education, our goal, and
Exactly.
Louisiana's #1. I want to say we're #1.
Is this a good one?
This is a
perfect
good
one.
This is a good one. And we are the highest in people signed up to be organ, tissue, and eye donors. And Louisiana is #1 in the nation.
Why do you think that is, besides good outreach?
We're good.
Yes,
We're good people. Yeah, and we're
generous,
giving people.
generous
We
people.
are. You know, if someone's car breaks down, we stop and help them. If our neighbor needs a cup of rice or a cup of sugar, we make sure they get it. So why not share what we have with them?
I do want to say that I just did a little bit of research, and every year about 60,000 people in this country say yes to cornea donation. It's an amazing number. And South Louisiana alone had over 600 people say yes to donation. It was just an awesome thing to see. I mean, it just...
It is.
It stirs your heart. It's like an easy place to work because so many people are willing to say yes. And they're willing to listen. And I think that's it. Even if they have some of these ideas and myths that are out there about donation, they're still willing to listen so that they can make an informed decision. And that's our goal. Our goal is to have everyone know, yes or no, what they would like to do and what their family would like to do.
Right. And that's the important thing. Knowing and listening, and when we go over everything, we answer their questions, and many, like Joyce said, it's myths. Like, we can't have an open casket funeral, it's going to cost money. It is a gift. It is a gift from one person to the next.
And you can have an open casket funeral.
You
and
can
it
have
doesn't
open
cost
casket.
money.
There is no cost to the donor family for the donation of the organ, tissue, or the eye.
And all religions support donation.
Yes.
Oh, that's an important
It is.
thing,
For a lot
because
of people,
sometimes
it's
there might
very
be-
important to know
Yeah.
that all religions support donation. The
Right.
Catholic Church says it's the most Christ-like thing you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's a spiritual gift as well, then. In
Exactly.
Some ways.
Absolutely.
I think that's
Exactly.
I guess where healing really does happen. Anyway, so kind of before we wrap up today, because we have just a few more minutes, but we mentioned the picnic at the zoo, but you're doing something in Lafayette too.
We
huh?
are. Actually, we're doing it in conjunction with LOPA because we work so closely together with LOPA. Lafayette General Medical Center is once again going to be awarded the Southern Eye Bank Hospital of the Year Award.
Yay! What are they
They-
doing? What's so right about over there?
Oh, they are so cooperative. They follow all of the guidelines. They make it easy for us to do our job, and easy for us to talk to people. And they treat their patients so well that people are more predisposed to talk to us afterwards. It makes a real difference to families on how they're treated in the hospital into how they respond to donation. Because one of your questions before was, do we always ask? Well, we always ask the family for cornea donation. If the person is a possible donor, we ask permission, even if they have the heart on their license. Because corneas enhance life, but they don't save lives.
Right.
So we ask the families, and Lafayette General really does a wonderful job. They had 49 donors from their hospital this last year. But on April 8th, we are going to have a Walk of Heroes. And we are using LOPA quilts that donor families have made the squares for, and the eye bank quilts, and we are going to invite people to come in and actually see the impact that people have had through walking through these quilts. LOPA is going to have a flag raising there to honor the donor families through the past year, and it's going to be a real celebration.
Yeah. And to go back to Louisiana, over 1,900 people in Louisiana are waiting for a life-saving organ. Over
Wow.
900 are African Americans. Most have dialysis or diabetes, hypertension. And the sad thing is, every 3 days, one person in Louisiana dies waiting on an organ.
And I think maybe we need to say a little bit about why there's such a discrepancy.
Well, you better say
Do
it
you
fast,
want to
'cause you have
address
about-
that?
You have about 30 seconds.
Okay.
Go ahead.
It's simply that only about 3% of us die in a way that let us be organ donors.
Right.
And so if only half of those people say yes or are eligible to be donors, then there's this gap. Because even though one person can save up to 9 lives, there's not that many of us who have that opportunity to say yes and to create those legacies.
Okay, so it's important then for everybody to say yes at the onset, although they may
At
not
least
be
have the
selected.
conversation.
Yes.
Yeah, and they may not be selected. It all just depends.
Right.
Okay, so I just want to thank both of you for being here. Thank you for being
Thank
back.
you, Linda.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for sharing your story.
Thank you, Joy.
and
Thank
for
you
all
very
you,
much,
Linda.
dear.
for
Thank you.
all that you guys do.
Thank you.
It's
And
wonderful
thank
to
you
be
for
here.
watching The Extra Mile.